We are about to introduce you to the softer side of Sheriff Joe Arpaio on this week's episode of The Animal Rescuers. Sheriff Joe, this is fabulous to be here today with you. I had no idea that this facility existed or that you were such a huge animal activist. There's always that one point that brings somebody to that journey. Can you tell me what that was for you?
It was about 12 years ago in a suburb, actually in Phoenix, Alatuki, when they were killing cats, drinking their blood, and no one seemed to do anything about it. So I did bring my pet posse and went down there to talk to about 500 people. That showed you how concerned they were, and decided to investigate, and we did stop that type of activity. And then I had an idea, why not start a animal cruelty unit, because I realized how important the public was concerned about this. So we have about 5 investigators, detectives, and formed, I believe to this day, maybe the largest cruelty unit of law enforcement in the country. Needed a place to put the abused animals, so this jail was housing about 300 inmates, and it's air conditioned. It was the only air conditioned jail we had at the time, but they were messing around with the plumbing, and it would cost $3 million. So why spend the money if we were going to build a new jail? So we kicked out all the inmates, threw them in a tent city jail, and so I had room here to put the dogs at the time. So any dog that's been abused, we put in the cell. We have a lot of cells here. We don't double bunk dogs, we double bunk inmates. And I remember kicking this off right here. And usually I'm a sort of an outspoken guy. So I made 2 statements that I say today. It costs more to feed the dogs than the inmates, okay?
Yes.
Number 2, it was the only air-conditioned jail that we've had. And people criticize me, why are you doing this? And my answer is, the dogs are victims. They did nothing wrong.
Right.
And inmates commit crimes. So that was my answer to the world.
I really want to commend you for what you're doing, because these animals are full of unconditional love, and you are correct. They didn't ask to be abused. They didn't ask to be neglected. But I never ever thought about the fact that when you do a raid on, if there's animals and there's a raid coming down, or people break the law and they go to jail, what happens to these animals? That thought never entered my mind. So that's what this facility does. Do you bring them from those situations to here?
The real, the legal reason is that we use the animals as evidence. We don't just pick up animals everywhere. It's during the course of an investigation normally. I can't take every animal, and we are not the county POM. This is my own operation. We run it separate from everyone else. So that's one reason we house the animals that have been abused.
Okay, and so once the animals get here, that's a big job to care for them, and what happens to them while they're in this care? Who takes care of them? What do you do with them, etc.?
First of all, we do raise donations. We try to minimize taxpayers' money. On the other hand, we use inmates, female inmates. It's good therapy for them. They get to love the dogs, and it's a 2-way street. So I use this as an educational rehabilitation program too, to help the inmates. Now I'm an equal opportunity incarcerator, so decided also about 11 years ago to take the cats. So I have a cat section, dog section. I remember the inmates drawing a large heart in the cat section. They call it Sheriff Joe's cat house, but that's okay.
A legal one. You have another facility. Is that the one that you're talking about?
The other facility is Tent City, where we have 1,000 inmates. They're all convicted, and they take care of the horses and other animals. We had a monkey there. I can go on and on.
Obviously, there's got to be a benefit in there for the inmates caring for them. This must teach them how to love, how to not abuse, because if you're abusing animals, obviously you're abusing human beings. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, as I mentioned, we use this as a rehabilitation somewhat by utilizing inmates to take care of the animals. As I say, they build up a relationship, and it works both ways. The animals get to love the inmates get to love the animals. So it's more than just keeping the animals in jail for legal reasons. Now, the problem we have to adopt these animals out.
Sure.
We do not euthanize.
Thank you.
I've had a dog in here for 8.5 years behind bars.
Wow.
The guy that abused the dog got like a day, and the dog has been confined for 8.5 years before we could find someone to take the dog. So we don't like euthanizing any dog here, but we have to find people that will adopt the dogs, and we have a lot of pit bulls too. We have Mickey in jail, which is another very controversial story where he bit a little boy. They wanted to euthanize the dog, but the attorney did fight to keep the dog alive. We went to court. I agreed to go before the local judge, and I told the judge, I can keep the dog. He can't escape or anything. So it's the first time in history that a judge has ever sentenced a dog to jail. No probation, no parole, no execution. So he's got a life sentence, and I got him on the web now, 24 hours, you can see Mickey.
Well, and tell me about how the general public could come in and lighten the load by adopting. Is that a possibility?
Yes, we always are looking, and we do some publicity in our own way. We don't have a lot of money, but there's ways of doing it. So they can come in here and look at the dogs, the cats, and take them away, treat them nice. We do follow up to make sure they do treat them right. And we got a big nice roof up on top. I remember breaking my arm about 1.5 years ago. I wasn't happy. In fact, it's the only time I served time in the hospital in my 82 years. So I had a sling and auction off the sling on eBay and got almost $3,000. So what we did with the money, we bought 2 of these exercise. So we have 2 of them here where the dogs can, what do you call it, the treadmill. So the dogs can get on that treadmill and exercise.
And thank you so much for not euthanizing them, because Arizona is the 2nd largest state in the nation for euthanasia. And there's less than a 60% chance that any dogs that do go to county will be adopted. So we thank you so much for that.
I'm very active in sponsoring bills. The cockfighting, I went public on that. Keeping the pigs small containers, went public on that. Elections, and both of those won. Bestiality, we never had we haven't had a bestiality law. So now we went into that, and I think we're the only ones enforcing that law. Right now, I'm not going to get into meat or killing animals and eating and all that, but I did put all the inmates, about 8,200 a day, on vegetarians, so we took all the meat away from the inmates. Now the dogs still get the meat, but the inmates have to eat vegetarian.
Sheriff Joe, thank you so much for educating me on the softer side of who you are, and I am so honored to be here. Thank you so much.
So let me just say one thing. I started this about 12 years ago. because of that situation. Everybody says he's just doing this for politics. No, I don't need this to get elected. They're re-elected. So all the critics can complain. I do this because it's the right thing to do. I'm an elected sheriff. I set the policies. I set the priorities, and I think, like Mahatma Gandhi said, you judge the morality of a country by the way they treat their animals, and that's big. Now, people do love their animals. I'm hoping that more politicians will realize that we have to take care of our animals, and also they will get tremendous support out there. Now, people will say dogs can't vote, but I have to think that the masters, the owners, can vote if you want to bring politics into it.
Right.
So I don't do it for politics, I do it for the right thing.
Your heart, I believe. And you know what? I did talk to Congresswoman Thelda Williams about this. I saw on Facebook the dogs can speak 250 words, or they understand 250 words. They can communicate with us. They are the lowest common denominator on earth, and if we bring the animal kingdom up, it will bring humanity up.
Well, Thelda worked for me for 14 years. She's now a city council woman in Phoenix, but she worked for me, and she was running this operation too. So I'm glad she's carrying over to another government entity and trying to pass the word how important it is to take care of our animals.
Absolutely, and I hope with this broadcast that will happen. Thank you so much, and we will be right back. Leann, thank you so much for your time today. I know you're a little bit nervous, but you're going to be absolutely fine. We are standing on top of what building and what is going on here?
We're on top of the first staff jail, on top of the roof where the dogs come out and play and exercise.
This is really amazing. So we're on top of the jailhouse, and this is where the animals come. All the walls are painted. We have a little fire hydrant over there. How many come up here? Who brings them up here? And
we have working inmates that come up here, and they bring up potty trains and dogs that need to be exercised throughout the day and just need time to get out of the room, get out of the cell.
So it's a great, I believe it's a great way for the inmates and the dogs to give that love that is missing here greatly, that opportunity to have that happen. So I'm just thrilled for that. Can you tell me what goes on in the rest of the building? Is the entire building dedicated to the dogs?
No, we actually have 3 floors. And 1 floor, level 2, there's only 1 run of cats. Level 3, we have 4 runs, and 1 run is cats, and the other 3 are dogs. And then level 4 is all dogs.
Okay. Would you have any idea how many animals are being housed here right now?
We have 173. I'm sorry.
And how often does that number fluctuate with adoptions?
Oh, every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Is there ever a number below 100?
This past year we had it under 100, but because of recent seizures, the number has gone up.
So if somebody wanted to come off the street and adopt, what is the procedure that they have to go through?
They come in, they do a meet and greet with the animal, and once they're suitable with that animal, if they want to adopt them, we had them fill out a couple of forms, contract questionnaire, release form, and we take a donation fee of $100 for spay and neutered and up-to-date vaccinations on dogs, and $25 donation on cats, and they are spayed and neutered as well. And their vaccinations are up to date.
Okay. Have you ever had somebody bring an animal back?
Yes.
Okay. And is that do you recommend that when they take them if you're not going to?
If they're not. Yeah, we highly recommend bringing them back if they're not happy with that animal.
So Sheriff Joe really is an animal rescuer, because that is what all groups do. They pre-qualify them, they make sure that it is a good fit, and if they take them home and it isn't, it is recommended to bring them back. So we're really grateful for this opportunity to be here. And are you going to take us on a tour of the rest of the facility?
Yes.
So let's go. huge eye-opening experience for me, and I know it was for you. This is Kimberly reminding you, adopt, donate, volunteer, spay and neuter, share our show on Facebook, and you can be an animal rescuer too. We'll see you next time. This is Kimberly reminding you, adopt, donate, volunteer.
Okay, well, let's wait for the airplane to go over.
Spay and neuter!
We're right in the flight back, I know.
So I just...
You know what, Leann?
You know
just
what?
Don't worry about it. It's just TV. It's just TV. Nobody's going to die here.
But the thing is oh, I'm in a prison right now. Okay, wait. Okay.